May I have your attention, everyone. This is the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the Town of New London. And tonight we have two matters on the docket. Before I launch into the docket, we should identify all the members that are here. And the Zoning Board consists of, tonight, 8 members, of whom 5 may vote, and the other 3 serve as alternates. Alternates may participate in the discussion, ask questions, and in the debate, but when it comes time to vote, only the 5 designated voters can participate. So for tonight, the designated voters will be me, Heidi, Ann, Frank, and Steve Root. And Conrad, Julia, and Peter will be the alternates. We have one member who's stuck in traffic in Concord and will not be here. And now that we've settled that matter, the first thing on the docket is Richard W. Hall Revocable Trust and Tammy K. Hall Revocable Trust, 75 Barton's Row. This was continued from before. And is anyone here representing them? Not seeing anyone, that's okay. It was agreed upon that we would continue this matter. Do we have a date certain in which to continue?
Their email request said that they should be ready with materials for the 21st of this month.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion to continue that matter to January 21 at 6:30 at Whipple Hall. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded that we continue this matter to January 21 at Whipple. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter is continued. Okay, the next matter on the docket is Catherine W. Robgent Trust, and this is property located at 287 Mountain Road, map 112, lot 7. And it looks like you guys, I don't have the application in front of me, but my recollection is you are adding on, and you need to comply with the setback that faces Mountain Road. Okay, so everyone's had a chance to review that plan? Okay, so as we mentioned in the hallway, and now I have to do it again now when we're on the record, whenever there's a setback issue, it is the burden of the proponents, that would be you, the petitioners, to present evidence to a board sufficient to sustain a finding that all 5 criteria of the variance request are met. It's not our job to find the answers for you, although sometimes we do ask questions that might lead you in that direction. When the application requires dimensional requirements of any sort, you have to present evidence sufficient for the board members to sustain a finding that a line is where it is indicated on the drawing. So, if I may, just to cut to the chase, would you have evidence to present to the board as to the exact location of any dimensions that are in issue with your application? And if you, so just, Rob, just come up and push the little button on the microphone if you want to address us. There's a little button at the bottom, push it, and the green light will surround the thing, and you can just pick it up or raise the...
Okay. We do not have a survey, but we were led to understand that we would not need one earlier on. Maybe not officially, but
understood.
That was our understanding.
Okay. I can't speak for all the board members, but we can have a discussion with respect to that. But the best practices, given the property values around here, seem to suggest that a boundary line survey with a drawing is worth a lot in terms of evidence as to where property lines are and what distances are regarding setbacks. And as I mentioned to you, we had a case recently down at 40 Acres Road, corner of 40 Acres Road, where this same situation arose, and we said we really would feel more comfortable if we had some professional opinion about where the line is. And we continued the matter for, I don't remember, it was 1 month or so we continued it. And they came back and they had a surveyor go out and put a pin in the ground and say, okay, well, we believe the thing is here. And the surveyor is willing to sign off on that, and we're happy with that. So if that's something that you think you can do for us, I just didn't want to take the time of the precious board to have you go through the entire presentation and then get to the very end and say, geez, guys, sorry, we really need, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to make it as efficient as possible. Anybody kind of guys all agree with me? Where are we on this? You think that's reasonable?
Yeah, I'd like to chime in a little bit.
Please do,
There's an FAQ the town has put out with the building permit applications that says a building permit application must be accompanied by a plot plan drawing of the site. You are responsible for accurately showing the property boundaries and location of structures and features. You should not rely on the tax map. And it goes on to talk about surveys being the best way to do that. So at this point, I've looked at the plot plan that's been submitted, but if you're not able to say that line that's the edge of the road is the property boundary, I don't know that you need a variance. I don't know how big the variance is going to be.
Yeah, that's the other
This
thing,
is
is
the
we
problem.
knew exactly where it was. We might avoid you even having to appear to do what it is you wanted to do.
And I think it's going to be an inches issue too. It is right about 50, so you may be able to even, once you know where that line is, adjust your plans by a couple of feet and avoid the variance if need be.
We can't adjust where the addition goes because we run out of house to stick it on. That's all.
Right. I think you may actually, though, be in an inches scenario, that it may be that a 6-inch reduction in the size could actually get you a conforming, because measuring on our tax maps, which Steve is right, are not exactly accurate. It looks like you're in the 48 feet
Yeah, no.
situation. So.
And nor are they intended to substitute for a boundary line survey.
So
the
hopefully
tax
it'll
maps.
just make the process
No.
I mean, as accurate as that is now, and it's pretty amazing. I was using the measuring tool today. It is pretty cool, but that's not quite enough for us.
Yeah, I looked at, it's the only place on the house we can put it.
Understood.
And it's back a ways. Would it help if you saw a picture of the house?
Well, I think it will at some point, but I'm not sure that. Well, I'd have to take a view. I have to take
Ann knows, she's been there.
a poll of the board to see if they think that a boundary line survey would be a good idea in this instance.
Well, I have a
Frank, you
question
wanna-
here.
Please do.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding. The zone they're in requires a 50-foot front yard. And again, based on the tax map, it says it's 56 feet, 0.02 inches, 0.02 feet. Am I wrong, Adam?
I think perhaps. So you can see I just stretched this. I know the graphics are not great, but this is so there's multiple layers of aerial imagery. This is the 2021-2022 granite aerial imagery, which is the one that our office typically defaults to. We've had a few scenarios that are very similar to this, that the folks have actually had a survey done, and it comes out within like surprising accuracy to what this layer provides in a measurement. And here I see, this line I just stretched looks at, it's about 46.9 feet. So it does definitely the different layers that you pick. So there's different base maps. They measure differently. And if you're just on the map where the building footprints are, those building footprints have been sort of placed there by mappers, so they don't actually always fall in
No, that's-
alignment. So there is some variance depending on which base map you're looking at. This one, we happen to have a couple of examples recently where it's pretty accurate.
So what is the setback they're asking for?
Well, they showed it at 50 feet, but that 50 feet was that front side of the addition aligned with the front of the existing ranch. And so if you take that measurement, sorry, let me get back to my measure tool. There it's 39 feet. Obviously the lot line is not necessarily parallel to the front of the building, but if we were to stretch that on the east side, where the addition goes, to adjacent to the front, it says it's 40 feet there. It looks like it's about 52 feet to the ridge line of the house.
So I don't, this is why we need a survey. I don't want to get into this. You're measuring one thing, they're showing 56.02
it's
feet.
Right.
It's the ambiguity that prevents us from sustaining a
And
finding.
This is the tool that gives us enough information to know that we need more information.
Exactly.
So the one thing too, I understand surveying the whole property, this is quite an expense to it, but if the board feels that this is acceptable, all we need is where is that front property line? What is the dimension from your property line to your existing house and to the to the proposed addition? So,
We won't necessarily require you to get a full boundary line survey of the entire lot. You may be able to retain a surveyor and contract with him to identify the front lot line and the distance to the existing house and the distance to the proposed addition. In other words, they will tell us definitively what the setback is or would be with the proposal that you have. And then, based on the results, you may or may not be back to see us. If it's less than 50 feet, you will. If not, then you may not even have to come back to see us. Unless there's other things that require the variance. But my understanding was it was just the front setback.
And it wouldn't all be for naught, because even if we need to approve a conforming building permit, we still need that plan with those measurements for that process. So whether you go through this process or
that
you
one,
get to
yeah.
forget the board and come straight to our office, the plan is what you need. So it is useful either way.
The property was originally 17 acres in the early 70s, when the Morris owned the property before we bought it. The property was divided into two sections, the section that's owned by the Brooms, which is adjacent to us, and our property. At that point, there was registered with New Hampshire Deed a survey of our chunk. If I could provide that, would that be sufficient, or do we need to?
I
Well,
think that's the 1984 survey that I looked at in the file.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't have any front boundary line on it. It just had Mountain
We
Road.
do have the iron stakes that were put in by the surveyor, but the road zigzags between the two posts. You can't draw a straight line without picking up, well, part of it, we would end up owning part of the road, and we would end up owning part of.
Yeah, and then you mentioned that when they widened the road, they started at
And
one
they
shoulder and went over
they
the
took it off
distance
of
to
our
the other
side.
shoulder instead of taking it down the
So-
center. So yeah, then
Yeah.
there's
So-
some gains and some losses on
So
that. So
that survey is not sufficient for your needs.
I don't think so. It didn't look like the surveyor actually took into account the right-of-way width of the road. They took just the lane width of the road, and then there was no actual lot line on the front of it. The one we had was done for your septic plan, so it was
No,
really.
that plan is not.
Okay, so maybe
that
there's a
was- that was
different one.
But this is registered, I copied it out of the
Merrimack County.
deed, Merrimack County.
Okay.
And it looked like it had all the points.
Well, that's
But-
not to say that the surveyor you retained to solve this mystery of where the front line is won't pull that and rely on it
Yeah.
for the purposes of identifying the monuments and so on. But it, as it is in its present state, will not answer our question
Yeah,
sufficiently.
we were told when we bought the property that the three stakes, we're a triangle piece of
Yeah,
property.
I see that. Yeah.
Which makes life really interesting. That the three stakes had been put in and had been approved by New London. And the three stakes are still there. So basically what we have to do is have somebody line from stake A to stake B and draw a straight line somehow, and then measure from the edge of that line.
Yep.
To the thing, okay.
And it may not actually be a perfectly straight line. It does look like there's a little bit of a bow in it, so there could be.
Well, I say we would end up owning part of the road.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here where it kind of undulates. And so, obviously there's probably a deed description that has those apex.
Well,
Down past Baker Road, we actually own property in front of the Broom property.
I think it behooves you to have somebody come out and certify that, Jim, because if for some reason this property eventually gets sold, you've got the record to say this is what the property we own. If there's somebody has come along and put their easement of a road onto your property, you need to know that too.
yeah, I hate to, because I know you guys are probably on some sort of a schedule. You want to get this done sooner rather than later, and I hate to throw a monkey wrench in it, but in this instance, I think we need to have you get somebody to just mark where it is. That's pretty much what Adam has said. You need it either way, whether you just go for the building permit or whether you come to us.
The front line with the measurement of the new portion. being the important part.
Front line, distance to house, distance to proposed addition.
As far as timeline goes, the February meetings for the board are February 4th and February 18th. Having had a couple other projects with surveyors recently, I think the 4th is probably optimistic. So I would say probably a date to continue would be February 18th.
Yeah, how are you guys, well, you're not traveling or anything. No, you guys are gonna be skiing, so yeah, you'll be, you'll be around. Yeah. So 2/18, does that sound reasonable? You think you can be able to try to pull somebody to, if you can't, if you don't have any luck retaining anyone to get it done before then, just let Adam know and on the 18th, we'll convene and just continue it to the next date certain.
I think if you. can
We just
find
wanna do
those
it that way.
pins, I think
Hey,
if you
Ann,
find the pins-
you're not on.
Forget about this.
Yeah.
Jim referred to that he can find the pins. Since it's a triangle, if you can find all 3 pins and help the surveyor, he can make the decision once he reads the deed description, if those pins are accurate or not, which is really,
Okay, you can see the pins right from the road when you walk by.
Nice.
that's
And,
great.
and maybe
The
flagging
front too.
those now while we don't have a lot of snow, not knowing what's coming.
Oh, they got flags, yeah.
Just go hang some
Aye, yeah.
So
tape and.
the reason we're trying to continue you to a date certain at this meeting is so that we don't have to renotice all the abutters
So that
when we
what?
meet again. In order to apply for this variance, all of the surrounding property owners had to be notified by registered mail or certified mail. Well, if we continue this hearing, and if they cared, they'd be here, okay? Apparently, they don't think that's that important. My point is, if we decide to continue this till the 18th, and we say that at this meeting and we all vote on it, then we don't have to renotice all those people.
Okay,
Keeps it simple and it saves costs. So if you're in agreement, then I'll ask the board to take a vote to continue this matter to the 18th of February. 6:30.
that's okay. I think I want to know, I'm not a surveyor, I'll tell you right now. And so I went out with my tape, and the edge of the road to start the addition, the edge of the road is 56 feet. So once and to the corner of the house is 46. So at some point, if the surveyor comes out with something around that, do you approve it? Do you say fine? Do you say,
You come back on the 18th with his findings, and you present them to the board. And at that point, we either look at you and say, you don't need a variance, get lost, or we enter into the discussion of the 5 variance criteria
that we filled out?
that are on the application. And you would have to argue to us, submit evidence to us sufficient to sustain a finding on all 5 of those points. And if you meet that burden, we will grant the variance and you may build the addition.
Okay.
And if you have the survey material and it shows that you can meet the 50 feet, we can withdraw the application without you having to come
Bingo.
back that night, and we just cancel the meeting and.
Right.
So is Adam, is the 50 feet from where to where?
So
The edge of
50
the
feet
addition
is-
to the edge
It's
of the
not
road?
from,
to
it's
the-
not from the edge of the road. That's where your lot line is somewhere between your house and the road. This looks on here like it's about 12 feet from the edge of pavement, or at least where the pavement was in
Yeah.
2021.
It would be I don't mean to interrupt. It would be the distance from the proposed addition to where the surveyor says the lot line is. If that distance is 50 feet or more, you don't need us.
The addition to
Where the surveyor tells you the lot
Surveyor.
line is by the edge of the road.
surveyor lot line.
Bingo. That's what
It
we
looks
don't
like-
know. We
Okay.
think we know kind of where it is, but he's going to tell us exactly where it is.
So if he says 50 feet, you say fine?
You're good.
And if he
Just
says
go to get a
less,
building
you-
permit, you just get a building permit and off you go.
Great, thanks.
It's hard to tell on your aerial imagery, but it looks like maybe you have a stone wall or a garden or something along parallel to the road. There's garden, so the property line looks like it goes about halfway through your garden. I mean, obviously this isn't survey quality, but just to give you an idea as to where it shows the road layout going to.
Okay.
And Adam, is the setback to the edge of the eaves or the foundation?
It's to the extent of the building. So if we have a lot of modern houses being built now, or the edge of the eaves is the edge of the foundation. So it depends on your design. If you have an eave overhang, it goes to the extent of the eave.
The extent of the overhang, correct. Okay, so
Learn something every day.
are you clear on what you got to do?
I hope so. I'm
So it's-
counting on all you guys to help.
No, we'll help. We'll help. Once we get the surveyor to tell us where the line is, we'll help you any way we can. Yeah, yeah.
And the surveyor will know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
They do this
No
every
doubt.
day.
Yeah.
So if you get stuck and you can't get anybody to get it done by the 18th, let us know, and we'll just continue it to another date certain, another couple of weeks or whatever. But just keep us in the loop, and we'll make sure you get on the schedule as soon as you're ready.
Okay.
As soon as they give us what we need.
And again, though, if those pins are actually the boundary pins and you can find even the back pin, that's a huge help, and tell the surveyor that.
I can show him within 3 minutes of where each one, and only because it takes time to walk between the both, they're all 30.
Just all three of them, Jim?
All 3 of them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just call the surveyor and tell him that, and
Tell them that, and then you'll be on the way.
Okay.
So, all right, and then the board will entertain a motion to continue this matter till the 18th of February at 6:30 Whipple Hall.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded to continue this matter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none. The ayes have it. You are continued. We will see you at the
Great.
18th of February here at Whipple, unless you get a favorable result and you go see Adam and he cancels the hearing.
Hope to see you soon.
Just a
Adam.
heads up too that we lost our administrative assistants, so I'm at the front desk a lot. So if you need me and you're not getting me at my desk, try the front desk number because I'm sitting there.
Oh, in the town hall.
Yeah, just call the front desk. They know where he is.
Call the front desk.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for
all.
coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck with the skiing. I'll get down
Yes,
there.
you're welcome to come anytime.
I know, I'm going to get down there. I will, thank you. Okay, further business for the board is a review of the minutes, which were carefully prepared. Have you all had a chance to read this 11 pages of 12 pages of minutes?
Yes. and-
They were well done. That was my impression, yeah. So all those in favor of adopting the
No,
minutes?
no. I read them.
Sorry,
There's some changes.
Ooh,
there are some
the
changes.
chair recognizes Julia.
Sorry.
No.
The references to Lauren Snow Chadwick should actually be to me. Pages 5, 7, and 8, those comments and questions, those were my
Oh,
comments and
that's
questions,
right.
not Lauren's. So I was going to talk to her about it, but she wasn't able to attend, but I did mention it to Adam earlier, so.
All right, would
Unless
you-
anyone has a different recollection, I'm fairly certain that those were my questions and comments. So those were my
I'm sure-
corrections to the minutes.
I'm sure they were, and we would definitely want to give credit where credit is due. So I'm
Or
going to entertain
have
a...
someone
No.
not have to take responsibility for something they did not say.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion to...
Before the motion, Michael, I had some changes also.
Pardon?
I have changes as well to suggest. Changes to the minutes.
Yes, understood, I get that. I'm just trying to decide whether we want to put them all in the same motion or do two motions, but
Oh, you were going to move
I was
to,
going to move to correct the minutes,
oh, I thought you were
what Julia
moving-
said.
okay.
I think all in one is
You-
fine.
Okay, let's then hear, what comments do you have, Steve? Thank you.
Sure, the third text paragraph uses the word raised, it quotes
It's...
chair,
that's-
R-A-I-S-E-D.
it's
It should be
R-A-Z-E-D. Yep.
R-A-Z-E-D.
Yep, R-A-Z-E-D, raised.
So, and I can provide, if,
Hold on just a second.
I can give you my sheet here, but I read them carefully, okay, not the first time, but not every time. Second paragraph on page 4, currently there's a sentence that reads, Mr. Root inquired of all corner lots, if all corner lots require 20-foot setbacks for both sides and fronts. Mr. Ricker confirmed, noting that the rear line doesn't attach to the front. I think what that really should say is Mr. Root inquired if all corner lots required 25-foot setbacks for the two fronts and 20-foot setbacks for the two sides. Mr. Ricker confirmed, noting that there is no rear line because any line attaching to a front is a side. I think that's what we actually discussed. It's certainly what
You have that written. that-
Yes, I do.
Talk about getting into the weeds. Yeah, but no, it's true. This,
Okay.
I was going around in circles.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why she did such a great job, actually. I mean, it really did hold together. So on the bottom of page 5, this is a question for you, Chairman. Chair Todd noted that a 24 to 36-foot depth is typical for a 3-car garage. I think it's 24 to 26 feet, you were saying? Or did you say 36 feet?
Okay, so in case everyone didn't hear that, Kelsey was saying that Michael was clarifying something that Aaron had put in the application. So we can look at the application then and see what that.
Okay,
That may be
so she
changed
may
or may
well have
not,
said
yep.
36. Okay, it jumped out as me as, that's a pretty
Okay.
big garage. Middle of page 9 currently reads, and this is my last one. She asked the board for their opinion, this was Aaron Darrow. She asked the board for their opinion on whether a variance would be needed for the lower front corner, referring to the house, which appears narrowly compliant, and if there were concerns to consider. I have a clear recollection that she's pointed out that the corner of the house was not in the footprint, and this is where she did it. So I suggest, she asked the board for their opinion on whether a variance would be needed for the lower front corner of the house, which is moved slightly from the current house footprint and is within the 25-foot property line. 25 foot of the property line, because,
And strike the rest of that.
yeah.
Yes,
yeah, in place
understood.
of that, and because that is what she was saying, is that, she corrected me, I said, you don't need a variance, she said, no, actually, we're moving it a little bit as shown, so we would need a variance, so, anyway.
That's good.
These are in writing, I can give them to you.
All right, and Julia, your page, the pages that we need to specifically address to correct who give credit where credit is due would be.
5, first full paragraph. 7, last paragraph.
Yeah,
8, I can't tell, that is the second full paragraph. That was it.
What about the third on 8?
Oh, sorry, was there, yeah, any place where it
Okay.
says.
got it. All right, are we clear on, you're going to hand her that?
I am.
Okay. Are you clear on where the corrections need to be made?
Yep, we'll
Okay.
grab Steve's and then we'll get it done. If you want, we can make the corrections and you can vote on them at the next meeting, or you can make a motion that we
To
make the corrections.
adopt them as corrected.
I would move we adopt them as
All right.
corrected.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. All right, the ayes have it. We have moved to adopt the minutes as corrected at this meeting. Thank you. Well done.
Can I just ask a question about the minutes,
You may.
not to change anything? Did anybody understand where the elevator was gonna go? Oh, shoot. Did,
Again, please. From the top.
I was confused, and I was confused when I read the minutes also, where the elevator, it was being insinuated that the elevator was gonna go because it came in the same breath with the size of the garage.
I think it's a great question, Ann, but it should be asked when we open the public hearing again.
Okay. Well, I brought
But I can send them an email and just make sure that they know that we want clarification on that. I just want to be careful that we don't jump into the merits of the application, if that's.
In the absence of the petitioners, yes.
in the absence of Ann, also. I cannot be here the next meeting.
I see, I see. Any further business?
I have one question to ask. We have not received any applications for the 4th. Technically, the deadline is in a few days, but I was elected to the Board of Civil Authority in my town, and they would like to schedule the mandatory training for the 4th. So I was wondering if it was okay with you guys if we cancel the February 4th, and then if we got an application between now and next week, we would tell them they're on February 21st.
I don't have a problem with that. Anybody else?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 2-4 is canceled for zoning meeting purposes.
Unless you want to be a justice of the peace and on the Board of Civil Authority, and you
I do not,
come to our training.
but thank you. Any other comments, concerns, questions, observations, ridicule or scorn? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.